Folks, it's November 2025, and we're going to be talking about the 7 major shifts and the Scorpio intensity and the retrogrades that are happening in November 2025. This is going to be a big month, very transformative, with Jupiter turning retrograde, Mercury going retrograde, a lot of planets in Scorpio. So you want to stay and check this out. And of course, you see this is a list of what I'm going to be describing. And if you like this video, please share and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment as well. So let's just jump right in. As you can see, Scorpio intensity and retrogrades is kind of like the theme of the month. We already have Mars and Mercury in Scorpio. By the end of the month, we're going to have the Sun and Venus also in Scorpio. And then Mercury's going to go retrograde in Scorpio and back into Libra. So it's a lot of this Libra-Scorpio energy, but also Jupiter's going to go retrograde. Saturn has been retrograde. He's going to go direct. So first, as we just go down the list, it says Venus in Libra. That's where Venus will be moving, just moved into Libra, and it's going to be in Libra for most of the month until the end of the month. I have Venus in Scorpio down here. I think it's the 27th. But for most of the month, Venus is in Libra. So that could definitely bring some balance, an overused Libra term, into our relationships, as we just had Mars in Libra. So maybe we're restoring some of that beauty now with Venus going into Libra for most of the month. But as you see, we still have Mars, Mercury in Scorpio for pretty much the whole month until Mercury goes retrograde back into Libra. But this Mars, Mercury in Scorpio can lead to some contentiousness, some... when Mars and Mercury get together, we can definitely mistake our opinions for facts and be a little bit combative, especially with our language and with our words. And in Scorpio, it's kind of a suspicious sign. It's a sign that is, wants to investigate deeper mysteries and all. And for that, it's good, for sure. And, the Mars-Mercury can help us investigate deeper mysteries and whatnot. And it's better when it's that. It's not so good when we're thinking that everything a person does has ulterior motives, and so what you really mean is da 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 da, and we start looking for like insidious motives behind everything. This is where Scorpio energy and Mars Mercury in general can also just get too conspiratorial and be trying to read into everything, and it's not really always a benefit to read into everything. Sometimes people are just honest and upfront, and something is what it is. There's not some deep, dark, mysterious conspiracy that you need to uncover. So be careful of that. But we have Mars, Mercury, and Scorpio for almost the whole month. And then Mercury turns retrograde, as you see, on November 10th. Then when Mercury goes retrograde, he's actually going to go past the Mars and then go back into Libra eventually. So this Mars retrograde in Scorpio will have us, Mercury retrograde in Scorpio will have us reflecting on that intellectual pattern that I was just describing, where instead of projecting this, sort of investigation into the outer world, we can investigate our inner world. So this Mars-Mercury retrograde in Scorpio can be very good for bringing that investigative nature to our own mind and questioning our own, preconceptions or ideas about what we think is right and who we think we are. Mercury is big for us understanding and comprehending our life and our world. So when he goes retrograde, it's a time for us to, to introspect. And in Scorpio, it's to introspect in a very deep and probing way. Then we have the Sun moves into Scorpio on November 16th. And, when the Sun goes into Scorpio, it really illuminates that sort of darker area of life. The Sun is one of the planets that does really well in Scorpio because, as I said, the darker side of Scorpio is to expect that we're being cheated or mistreated, or we have to, again, probe into every hidden motive. Otherwise, we're going to get screwed over or something, this kind of, paranoia. Now, again, in a positive light, it's where we don't just take things for granted and we investigate life's deeper mysteries. And so Scorpio people, or people who have planets in Scorpio, will always be interested in, the deeper hidden meaning of things. But we have to use discrimination. And so, again, the Sun, in some ways, is kind of like a disinfectant in every aspect of life, but particularly in darker areas of life, because, the light comes in. Now the light comes in and you can see all the dark corners in the room. So with this sun going into Scorpio, it'll be good for illuminating some of those maybe sinister possibilities or difficulties. And underneath it all, Scorpio is a very deeply devotional sign where it's like unshakable faith. But we might have unshakable faith in things that are, again, dark and, unworthy. Sun comes in and we have unshakable faith in that which is eternal and, deeply devotional. And then Venus goes into Scorpio at the end of the month. I forgot to put the date here. I think it's the 26th. So by the end of the month, now Venus is also in Scorpio. So we'll have the Sun, Mars, and Venus in Scorpio. And Mercury has poked his head back into Libra at this time. So the Venus in Scorpio brings that desire for beauty, happiness, joy into the area of Scorpio again, which is about trying to strengthen our hidden insecurities and vulnerabilities. So again, we might find a kind of deeper switch here gets turned on relative to our devotion and going deeper into that beauty, that transcendent beauty, which is the possibility here. But again, we might also just get kind of suspicious and other kinds of things and sort of crave this intensity in our connections. Because, ultimately Venus is where we have good relations, and usually that's a lighthearted kind of, oh, you get this, I get that, we're friendly, we're accommodating, we're diplomatic. Scorpio is not friendly, accommodating, diplomatic. It's intensity. I want what I want, and I feel it so passionately, right? So the way to really channel that is to stay with the transcendent quality of Venus, and then it can be a transcendent devotion to beauty and things like that. And then Saturn turns direct at the very end of the month also, and Saturn has been retrograde, so he's going to go direct in Pisces, where we've been reflecting on all the changes and the transformations and the kind of dissolving reality. So Saturn direct is going to ground that in a more practical, forward-looking, action-oriented approach. So by the end of the month, Saturn going direct is going to be good for helping us get clear about our path again and getting getting our feet settled even amidst the changing waters. So as I said, if you like this, please share, subscribe, leave a comment. I'd like to know what you thought, and we'll talk soon.